Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 206. In this episode, you're going to hear 4 reasons why Tina McDermott is so badass. In case you missed it, last episode we talked to Tina. She has been in the health and wellness industry for 20 years. She overcame Lyme disease, and there was so much trauma and hardship and goodness and joy. If you missed it, go back and listen. Today, I'm going to share 4 reasons why Tina McDermott is so badass. Before we get to the episode, I want to remind you my new book, From Broke to Badass, is out, and I am so stinking excited. And I just wanted to read you a couple of reviews from Amazon so you can kind of get a feel for what the book is about. So, Miss Shadrick said that Marie has provided not only a practical book, but an inspirational book. For anyone who is losing sleep over debt, this book will inspire you to pursue your debt-free living. The content provided a step-by-step path to taking control of your financial future. Her story is proof that you can melt away debt and stay out of debt. And then Joel Mallard wrote a 5-star review as well and said, Marie Sonneman's book reminds me of my first job abroad. Coming from cold but cozy Quebec, it was winter in Scotland, and the only warm place in my neighborhood was a local pub, but I couldn't afford to get hammered every night. So eventually I had to admit defeat and ask a colleague for help, who rather than laugh, taught me everything a Scottish kid knew. Finally, I could focus on my job. If you struggle with balancing a budget, From Broke to Badass will show you in concrete steps precisely what you need to do to get back and stay there, or to get back in the black and stay there. So grab your copy of From Broke to Badass today. With that, let's get to the episode. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass. Whether you're ordinary or badass, I am so glad you're here. Today, I'm going to share 4 reasons why Tina McDermott is so badass. So before we get started, a quick breakdown. The first reason Tina is so badass is for how she used trauma to define or create her own path. The second reason is for how she used her resources to her benefit. Third, Tina didn't wait for joy to find her. And the fourth reason is Tina found the simplest way to reduce anxiety. Let's get into it. The first reason why Tina McDermott is so badass is how she used trauma to create her path. Now, Tina is a total badass. She has been through a lot of trauma and a lot of hardship. And do you see her joy? Do you see her energy that just emanates from her? Even if you weren't watching the video portion on YouTube and you were watching or listening to the podcast episode, you can hear her joy and exuberance and just happiness to be alive. Tina struggled with Lyme disease. She easily could have given up and been like, okay, I'm done. This is going to define me. This is going to affect everything that I do going forward. This is going to make things hard for me. She could have said that. And then also her sister died of cancer, and she could have let that define her and take her down. But she didn't do it. Every single hardship she faced along the way, they were hard. She probably cried her eyes out, right? But she didn't let it take her down. She found a way to have it propel her forward. She even said one of her sisters was like, how do you do it? How do you stay so motivated? And she's like, I do it for my sister. So she uses her sister that passed away, and she uses that as her motivation. She has a picture of her sister on her computer or at her work desk. And so she can look at that every once in a while and be like, oh, she doesn't get to do this, but I can do it. And so that's what keeps her motivated. That's what keeps her going. What keeps you motivated? What hardship have you been through? Are you using it to take you down? Or are you using it to help you create your future path? Are you using it for motivation? You are a badass. Just like Tina, you're a badass. You can do these things. But you can let your hardships and trauma pile up and take you down, or you can use them to propel you forward and as motivation. Nobody's saying that it's easy, but you could do it. All right. Number 2, the second reason why Tina McDermott is so badass is because of how she used her resources to her benefit. Now, most of us take what one doctor says to us as truth. They tell us something, they give us a diagnosis, and it's poor, pitiful me, and I've been there. We've all been there. Most of us anyway. And definitely have I gotten down on myself? Yes, absolutely. But not Tina. Tina used it to become her own advocate, right? She used resources to her benefit. She didn't just take what one doctor told her because she was feeling tired. She was feeling exhausted. She's an athlete and she likes to do a lot of biking and riding, right? And she was exhausted to do it. So the doctor doesn't know her body. The doctor doesn't know her typical energy level. So she was an advocate for herself. So she started asking all the questions she could. She started reading books, doing research. She started going to different types of doctors. It doesn't have to be like the mainstream doctors. You can seek alternative help too. And Tina did. So that was so badass. Here's the thing. This doesn't just apply to your health or your, like a doctor or your medical care. It applies to everything. Maybe it applies to your finances. If you're not getting where you want to with your financial situation, or what some expert tells you doesn't make sense, then find a new expert. Find somebody else who can help you. And this goes for all areas of your life. Maybe you're looking for an education in a certain topic and you don't want to go to school. Traditional school isn't for you. What are your other options? Where else can you go? An example is maybe you don't have money to go to college, or your kid doesn't have money to go to college. Adam Braun, he has a business called Pencils of Promise, and he also created Mission U, which is a college for debt-free, or students that want to go to college debt-free. And you pay it back after you finish college, after you have money coming in, and you just give a certain percentage of that income. But guess what? That's an alternative way to go to school. That's not the traditional way of doing things. So that's what I urge you to do. Where in your life are you taking what people tell you or experts tell you is the truth? Are you satisfied with the answer? How can you start asking questions, or write down the questions you can start asking? Maybe you start doing your own research, just like Tina did. With the internet and all of the resources that we have more than enough. We have more resources than ever. So how can you use the resources? How can you use the internet to your advantage? So much information is just right at your fingertips. Now is the time. You can do it. Okay. Third reason why Tina McDermott is so badass is because she doesn't wait for joy to find her. This is a trap I've fallen into for so much of my life. And if I'm being honest, I still continue to fall into it. Tina has dance parties and just dances out the joy, or that brings joy, not dances out the joy, but that brings joy and happiness and makes you giggle, right? Or she'll go on a walk or go on a bike ride. There's a million little things that she can do and that you can do to bring you joy. There's a quote from Jack London that says, "You can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club." It's like same with joy, right? You can't wait for joy. You have to go after it with a club, beat it with a stick. You're going to have to be intentional about it because nobody says that it's just going to come and find you. I believe that the more you seek joy, the more you do things that will make you happy. Yes, the happier you'll be, but also the easier it will come. But there has to be some level of intention. So maybe it's setting a reminder on your phone. Oh, dance party at 11 a.m. or dance party at 6 p.m., right? And then do it then. So if it doesn't come easy, if it doesn't come natural to you, then set reminders on your phone to do things that do make you happy. You deserve joy. You deserve happiness. It's not just for people like Tina, right? It's for all of us. All of us deserve happiness, joy, abundance. But we do have to be intentional. I think that's the false narrative, is that it's just going to come to us. So what brings you joy? What makes you laugh? How can you add that into your life? I would urge you to pause this podcast episode right now. As much as I hate to say that, pause it and put it in your calendar. Even if it's just one thing, one time. Or you can just set the reminder on repeat or the alarm on repeat, right? So every single Friday, you're going to have a dance party at 11 a.m. Set the reminder on your phone. Why the heck not? This is a reminder. It's a public service announcement. I know that you know it because you listen to this podcast, but I'm still going to remind you, as well as reminding myself, a badass is not a hard ass or a tough ass, right? Badasses deserve joy. They can be happy, light, and free. It's about confidence and mindset. And a badass mindset is seeking joy. Okay, let's get to number 4. The fourth reason why Tina McDermott is so badass is because she found the simplest way to reduce anxiety. So Tina was experiencing a lot of anxiety with all of the stuff going on in her life. So she had trauma, right? We already talked about that earlier, but with her Lyme disease, along with it, she was finding that she had a lot of anxiety. So what did she do? She found the simplest way to reduce her anxiety. And again, she probably did some research to figure this out. But it's breath. Simply breathing. When you are stressed out, simply sit down and breathe. Check on yourself or check in on yourself. How am I feeling? What is bothering me in my body right now? And she actually talked about this with overeating as well. Because a lot of times we overeat when we are stressed. But the simplest thing to do to reduce your anxiety and your stress is to just breathe. To just breathe. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. I know that I, along with millions of other people, can make it more complicated, or probably everybody at some point or another makes things more complicated than they need to be. But just breathe. That's it. Take time to yourself and just sit there and breathe and check in with yourself and see how you're doing. You can do breath work, and I recommend you go on YouTube or look up Rebecca Kordecki. She was on the podcast before and she talked about breath work. Or you just sit down and breathe. It doesn't have to be anything extreme, right? It could be just sit there, breathe, just normal breaths and check in with yourself. Or it can be just meditate for a little bit, right? Or just deep breath in, hold it at the top, and then let it out. That's it. And just keep doing that. Just keep noticing your breath. You can find all of the advice in the world, all of the tools, spend so much money on so many things. And this is a lesson I am learning for myself right now. But you already have the tools within you. You can already breathe. So this should be easy. Or this should come natural, right? So no need to spend money. And I'm not shaming you if you are spending money. I'm just saying there are so many tools that you have within yourself that you can use right now, that you don't need to spend money on them. And one of those tools is breathing. Your breath is powerful. It can get you in touch with your body. It can get you in touch with how you're feeling. It can bring down that anxiety level. No need to be elevated and stressed. Just check in with yourself and breathe. Simply breathe. So I love it because it's possibly the simplest tip that anybody has given, but it is not only practical and actionable, but it will have an effect on your life, a positive effect. So how can you take time out to breathe? To just breathe. Maybe you just breathe for 2 minutes a day. Yes, of course you're going to breathe throughout the day, but maybe you're intentional about breathing 2 minutes a day. You don't have to wait till you're stressed. So just in the morning, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you feel comfortable with. And just sit there and breathe and check in with yourself and how you're feeling. I promise it'll change your day. So I really loved Tina's episode, and I'm sure that you did too. But we'll do a quick recap here. Why Tina McDermott is so badass. First for how she used trauma to create her path forward. Second, how she used her resources to her benefit. Third, she didn't wait for joy to find her. And fourth, she used the simplest way to reduce anxiety and gave us the tip for the simplest way to reduce anxiety. If you loved Tina's episode as much as I did, then take a screenshot of this episode or of her episode and throw it on Instagram and tell us your takeaways. What resonated with you? What are you going to implement? What did you learn from it? Tina's a badass, but you are too. But part of being a badass is constantly learning and taking other people's advice and going with it. So that way you don't always have to reinvent the wheel, right? So definitely take a screenshot, throw it on Instagram. I am at Ordinary to Badass, and Tina can be found at Tina's Joyous Kitchen. TINASJOYOUSKITCHEN. With that, we'll end our show. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.